Hi, this is Kate from Izzalicious Designs. Today I thought I'd show you how to make my version of Kristoff from Frozen. Now I've used some obscure colours. As many of you know, my favourite type of band is Rainbow Loom, but I sometimes feel a bit restricted by the colour choices, so I'm actually using some bands that are not the norm. The yellow I've used for his hair is a Lucky Loom colour, and I don't know if they're actually still selling this anymore, but it is a yellow. But you could use the Rainbow Loom Yellow Frost for his hair. That's a lighter yellow than the normal opaque yellow. I have grey from Rainbow Loom. I have black, skin tone. This is the I'm not sure, I think it might be rose, as I said, dark grey. Now this is a dark blue, it's called Midnight Blue, and it's from Trend X Loom, and they're a silicone band. They're quite hard to work with, but I thought this was a perfect colour for this. But if you have a different kind of blue or a lighter grey or something, that would work perfectly fine as well. I'm also using the 4mm by 7mm mini pony beads for the eyes. I find those just the right size for the eyes, and that's what I've been using lately. So they're just these tiny little ones that you can see here, and you'll need 2 of those. If you don't have those, you can use bands. It really doesn't matter. Bands work just as well. 1 band wrapped around your hook 4 times equates to the same as 1 of these little beads. Okay, so you would use 2 of those. I'm going to use a single loom to do this. The loom will be facing towards you, the open part facing towards you, or the arrow facing towards you. We're going to have it in the offset configuration, so it's staggered. Columns 1 and 3 are going to be lower than column 2. Now the hat is an add-on. You don't need to have the hat. If you choose to make the hat, that's fine. If you don't want the hat, that's fine too. So I will do the hat at the very end of the video, and then it's really up to you whether you want his little hat or not. So let's get started. I'm using the crafty ladybug technique of hair on the back of his head. I think it looks far better having hair on the back of these dolls' heads than a bald back head. So we're double banding, which means you take 2 bands and you place them together over the pegs as if they were one. And we'll start up the top here with our yellow. As I said, just because you don't have the same colours as me, it doesn't really matter. You can, I mean, it's your creation that you're making, so you can make it any colour you want. If you want him rainbow, it can be rainbow coloured. So we start with hair at the back of the head. Now, he has quite long hair. I don't want him to look like a girl, but I also want to give him a little bit of hair beyond his neckline. So we're going to do his a little bit differently than how we do most hair for the males. So we'll set it up as if we were doing it normally. Now, if you see a band that is twisted, I tend to take my hook and just run it around the inside of the pegs, and it sort of straightens them up a little bit, which is nice. So normally we would start coming across here like this, but we're not. We're going to come down 1 more. So come down 1 more peg, but not from here to here. We're going to do our normal side and down this time instead of up, and side, again down instead of up. And then we do need to have our neck, so that's going to be the back of the neck here, and then we will put a single band here as our end cap, wrap it once and twice, and pop on the end here as our end cap. We're going to need some crossover bands. They're single as well, so stretch 1 across from here to here in the triangle shape, and stretch another one across from here to here in a triangle shape. Okay, now what we're going to do is just loop up part of his hair. So push back behind that end cap and grab those 2 bottom. I've only got 1, make sure I've got 2. Let's find it. There we go. Push back behind the end cap, grab the 2 bands and loop them up. You're going to loop the first one to the left. If it gets stuck, wiggle your hook around the outside of the peg and it releases things. It has on this one too. There we go. See how that released the pressure on it? Now we go up once and twice, and here we're going to go up once and once here, and then one more time on this side, like that, and push everything down. Okay, make sure everything's pushed down because you need to lay your skin tone bands on top of this. So let's get our skin tone bands. Again, we're working in pairs. Now we skip from peg 1 to peg 2 because that's going to be the top of his hair. So we're going from peg 2 to peg 3, from peg 3 to peg 4, and then we go from here to here on the side, from 2 to 3, and then we come across just like we would on a normal face, still using 2. Now I have to push down because these skin tone bands I have are very thick and chunky and they take up a lot of room. And I don't want them to be twisted. There we go. Twisted bands on the face look horrible, so even if they're twisted on the body, I really do try and make sure they don't get twisted on the face. So another pair of skin tone for the neck. Okay, we're going to then do crossover bands, so a single, and you're going to place it from the left side across to the right and incorporate that middle one so it's like a triangle. For the eyes, take a single and twist it once, twice, 3 times. Now that stops the eyes from falling to the back of the head and you're always having to poke them out. Next we will do our real eyes. I'm using beads, but as I said, if you need to use bands, take a single band, wrap it around your hook once, twice, 3 times and 4 times, and that is the same as 1 bead. And so you do 2 of these and you slide these onto your peg, onto your band, just the same as I'm about to slide these eye bands on. Now I use a 2.75 crochet dude hook. It fits very nicely down these mini pony beads. My 2.75 crochet dude hook, Clover Soft Touch, do not fit these down. So even though they're the same size, there's a little bit of a discrepancy there. So this is definitely my eye hook. But if you have floss, a metal threader, I do have a tip and trick video on how you can make a metal threader from a twisty tie, so that's quite helpful. So thread it on, or throw your bead around, thread it on any way you normally do your beads. Okay, so you've got both beads on there, spread it out, have one side of the band on the left, one side on the right. Make sure that the eyes are either side of the middle peg, and then using your hook, grab the top part of that band and lift it above this peg, and that kind of acts like a crossover band, which is helpful because we're not really putting a crossover band there. Now our next important step, the end cap that we had here in yellow, we're going to lift it above and on top to sit on top of this pair of neck bands. That's really important because it locks the back of the neck in to the face. Okay, so that's an important step, don't forget that. Now we're going to move to our dark greys. I'll put my skin tones away, and I'm using, as I said, the Midnight Blue from Trend X Loom. So we're going to start first of all by doing some dark greys as his tunic. So these, and I'm again working in pairs, these on the shoulder are both dark grey. I will say what colours I'm changing to because it's going to be difficult for you to see. I'm changing to the Midnight Blue to go from his neck to his chest. So that's showing a little bit of his undershirt. Okay. Then I'm back to the grey, the dark grey, and we're going to come down. If you have a look here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So this is 1, 2, and these are pairs, 3, 4, and 5. Now what you'll probably notice straight away as well, there's not much room for his legs. We're going to do him taller because I don't have a an Anna here, but we'll use Belle. If I did him the same size, he would be the same size or shorter than the princess, and we want him to be a little bit taller than the princesses. So we're going to add a little bit extra on for his legs as extensions. So we're doing 5 for the body and 5 for the legs versus our normal where we do 3 or 4. Okay, so usually I do 4 for body, 4 for legs. 2, 3, 4 and 5. Down the centre here, again we're using the dark grey. We've already got the midnight blue there, so we're coming down 1, 2, let's get a bit more dark grey, 3, I'm going to untwist that, and 4. Okay, this is going to be different. So you've got the midnight blue, then you've got 1, 2, 3 and 4. The reason we're doing that is it's staggered. Okay, so this is higher, so it doesn't matter that this is higher. When we take it off the loom, it'll be the same length. We're now moving to midnight blue. We're going to do 3. 1, 2. This is what I'm talking about muted and earthy tones. I think this is a beautiful colour blue. And I wish I was able to get this from Rainbow Loom. So we put a pair here. Okay, just 1 pair there. Now we're going to take 2 pair and go from the centre of the crotch and up. And the centre of the crotch and to the left, push everything down. The boots are going to add on here, alright, so don't worry about that. We need a couple of red bands, and what we're going to do for these, we're going to come down 1, 2, 3 and 4. I think we'll come down 4 pegs for this. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Take a single red, wrap it once on your hook as if you're doing a figure 8, count your 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4, and we will put that here. Do the same on the opposite side, like so, and then 1 above. Like that. Okay, we're going to put some crossover bands over. I'm not going to be double looping them. I'm just going to stretch a single over these 3 pegs. Now when we come to flip these over, we will have to remove our crossover band just to do that step, but it's better to put it in place, otherwise you tend to forget it. Right, so I've got my crossover bands. Now we need to do his arms and his legs. So for his hands, he's wearing gloves. Take a single grey band, wrap it once and twice, and you're going to slide onto a pair. And we're going to slide onto another pair. Alright, and then we're going to slide onto midnight blue. Now because I've made his body longer, I'm going to make his arms longer too, because otherwise he's going to look a bit odd. So once I put my midnight blue on, I'm going to take that off my hook and place it down, and I'm going to take a single band and wrap it once and twice, and it's grey. Put my little arm back on, and I'm going to slide this grey band that I just wrapped onto that first side of the blue. Alright, push it down my hook, take another single grey, wrap once and twice, move it down a bit, reclaim my blue, and then I'm going to move this wrap band up and over onto that part of the blue. Okay, this is just to give his little glove sort of like a little cuff, I guess. Alright, next we're using midnight blue, sorry, and we'll do 1 pair and another pair. So if we were doing a normal arm, see how we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that would be enough for a normal arm, but because we're doing him extra big, we're now going to use a pair of grey and slide on. Now we're going to do 2 little bands here to act as a cuff, so take it off, take a single band, wrap it once and twice, pick up your arm and slide that grey wrapped band on, move your hook, move your arm down your hook, another single grey, once and twice, replace those grey bands on, and we'll slip this wrapped grey over like so. And this is what we're going to attach to his shoulder. Before I add this to his shoulder, we're going to take 2 red band, well they're not red, they're the rose, and we're going to stretch it from one side across here to the other side here, so that these go under his arms when we add them. So add his arm like that. Now these will come down under here like this. Okay, alright, let's do the other arm. Single grey, wrap once and twice, slide onto a pair, slide onto another pair, slide onto the midnight blue. Take off your hook, take a single grey, wrap it once and twice, and put this back on your hook and slide that over. Move it down a bit, take another single grey, wrap once and twice, reclaim, and we'll slide this one over. Sorry, I've broke my nail the other day. It's too low down, so it's hurting me to pinch the bands. There we go. Now we've got another pair of midnight blue. One, and reclaim. Try and make them so they're even. And 2. Okay. Again, don't want them twisted so much, so I'm just trying to fiddle with them to get them even. There we are. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 would normally stop there, but we're not. We're doing a pair of grey. Now, remember, oops, that was a bit enthusiastic. Pair of grey. We need to put the little cuff on, so take that off. Grab 2 grey. Grab a single grey, wrap it once and twice, and slide on as your cuff. And grab your second grey, wrap once and twice, reclaim the arm, and slide that over like so, and that is going on here on this side like so. Alright, we need to do boots. So for his boots we're going to do a little things a little bit differently, because his boots sort of turn up at the toe. Alright, so what we're going to do, we're using grey bands. Take a single band, move them out the way, wrap it once and twice, and you're going to slide that onto a pair. Do not reclaim the end of the band. You're going to take another pair and we'll do our little angle. Wrap once and twice and reclaim. Okay? You're going to take a pair and we're going to slide what we just made onto this pair of bands. Now I tend to like to do the first 2 bands first, like that, then the wrapped band that I just did, and then the other 2. Okay, reclaim the end of your bands. So this is going to angle for the toe. Take another pair and slide on. See how that angles up for the toe? Alright, so we have, at this stage here, this is angled for the toe. We need to add another angle, so I shouldn't have reclaimed that. Let's put that back here. Another angle, so take two, wrap once and twice, and now reclaim. Otherwise I'll end up with elf feet if I make it much larger. Another pair, slide on, pretty it up if you didn't do it in the right order. So see how now we have the angle for the foot and the angle for the heel. You can take another pair and slide on. So here we go. And then one more pair, slide on, do not reclaim. One more pair, slide on, do not reclaim. Pop that down for a second, take a single grey, once and twice. We're doing a cuff on this too. Put your boot back on, move over, slide down your hook, single grey once and twice, reclaim. Oops, both ends of the bands please. Take that one up and over, and then we pop this on the end of his little leg here, like that. Okay, so that's how we're doing his little boot, so that it angles upright like that. Let's do the other side. We start with a single grey, wrap once and twice, slide onto a pair, do not reclaim, slide onto another pair, wrap it once and twice, reclaim, take a pair, and we're sliding these over. There's our first two, here's our wrapped band, and there's our last two. Move down, reclaim, another pair, do not reclaim, a pair, wrap once and twice, now you can reclaim. We'll move the broken band out the way, take another pair, you're going to slide this all on. There's the first pair of loops, there's our wrapped band, there's our second pair of loops, reclaim. We'll do one pair, we'll do two pair, and let's take this off our hook, take a single band, wrap it once and twice, pop this back on, slide that wrap band over, move down, another single, wrap once and twice, move this little band back onto your hook, both of them, there we go, slide this wrapped band over. Now this time when you angle the foot, you're not angling it this way, you're going to angle it this way. So there's the heel, there's the toe, okay, and we're going to pop it on this way, like that. Okay, so there's his other little boot. Now, one of the other things that we're going to do is take a single red, and I'm just going to pop that on top of here so I don't forget about it. Okay, that's an important little part here to do that with. Okay, all right, we need an end cap here. It's going to be a midnight blue. Wrap it once and twice, it's a single band, and pop that there, like that. So we're going to start looping up, and first let's just dig down past this end cap here and grab these two bands and loop them to the left and loop the other side to the right, and we will loop up the centre as well. And that bit's done. Push everything down. Dig down past the foot, past the little boot, and loop up there. These can be fiddled around with after the fact, but it's up to you if you want to do it now or not. Do the other side, and we'll loop up. Dig down, pushing the end caps back with the back of your hook. Alright, now at this stage we want to loop these, but this crossover is in the way, so we need to take this off for a second, put it to one side. The reason it's important to keep it on at the start of things is otherwise you'll forget that it needs to go there. So dig down and loop these 3 pair of bands up. We're now going to tilt our loom. As you can see, you've got the top half of the 2 bands, the bottom half of the 2 bands. You're going to go below the bottom half of the 2 bands, grab those 2 red and pull them out from under the 2 bands and pull forward. You're going to do that all on all 3 of these. The middle one is always the trickiest. I sort of tend to twist my hook a bit to help me. There we go. And the last one. Now, it's important to remember to put that crossover band back. To do that, you're going to lift the top 2 bands, top 2 loops, place the band back and replace the top 2 loops. Do the same in the middle. Make sure you've got 2. Put the band in, the crossover band in, and replace your 2 loops. And the third one, and replace. Okay, that's very important. Continue looping. Now we are going to adjust one thing. Those 2 red bands that go across, we're going to take those off. Loop this one up to the center. We're going to take these off because they're not going to look right as I've got them positioned. We'll put them on after. So this particular red one, we're going to do the same that we did just here. Go under that bottom pair of red bands, the 2 loops, grab the red and pull forward. Okay, next we're going to loop up the arms on either side to the shoulder. Okay, push these down. Now we're going to place the 2 red bands back here. We're going to pull them so that they sit under this peg here, like that. And then we're going to take this red band here that we looped down and flip it on top of that peg like this, so that it's sitting on top, trapping these 2 bands here. Dig down, find the 2 grey and loop to the side, 2 grey and loop to the side, and now we're going to find those 2 blue and loop up. And we do those last because we want those blue ones to be the bands that we see, not the grey ones. So if they're on last, we see them first. Dig down, find the 2 skin tone bands and loop up, and then we do the face as normal, the 2 to the left, next top 2 to the right, the centres go up. Depending on whether you are going to be making the hat or not, and the hat is a hook only. Oops, let's just grab the skin tone. If you decide not to do the hat, I would suggest tying off using the same colour that you used for the hair. If you decide to do the hat, as I said, it's hook only. It's not very difficult, but if you've not done hook only before, it might be a little bit daunting. If you're going to do that, I would tie off using a darker colour. And the reason I say that is because on this one, I've used the tie-off bands to make the bobble. And you can see I tied off with yellow, so you can see them through that bobble hat. Okay, so if you're going to just leave him like this, which he will just look like that, that's fine, but tie off with yellow. If you're going to do him with his hat, let's take a dark colour, poke our hook through and we will tie off like that. I use the back of a hook to help me take my creation off my loom. The last thing I want to happen is have broken bands. That would be depressing. Gently ease, there we go. Alright, let's get him into shape. Pull his arms up and out. Adjust his legs and his shoes. Now, once he settles down a bit, the bands tend to relax after a period of time. This one is a lot easier to mould into shape because he's sort of relaxed overnight. So here's our little chap. I'm not going to tuck this in behind, but if you have used yellow, all you're going to do is poke your hook through between the hair and the skin and push your hook up and pull those tie-off bands back to hide. Alright, but we're not doing that because we're going to be making his little hat. But if that's what you're doing, he's pretty much finished. All you need to do is grab another red rose or whatever it's called, tie a little bow or a knot, and this is the sash around his waist, and then you can just sort of wiggle that band so that it sits to the side, so it's not sort of slap bang in the middle. You want it to sort of be just to the side a bit. There you go, like that. So there is Kristoff. Now let's do his hat. So to start the hat, we're going to use one peg of our loom, okay, and we're just going to take a single band and wrap it around once and twice. I'm going to zoom in so you can see quite clearly what I'm doing. We're going to make what we call a magic ring. I do have a tips and tricks video on how to do a magic ring, which goes a little bit slower, a little bit more detail if you need it. But effectively, you're going to push your hook through the bands that you just put on your peg. Take a single band, draw it through so that it's trapped, put it back on your hook, and take the one closest to you up and over so you have a little slip knot. And you're going to budge that slip knot round. You're not going to make that slip knot tight. We're going to do this with 5 bands. So that was number 1. Keeping this loop on your hook, push back down and you're grabbing number 2. And you're going to do the same thing. Take the one closest to you, up and over, and now you've got 2 slip knots, but you need to join them. So take the one that you did first, whoops, take the one you did first and slip it over the second one and budge around. Back down again for number 3. Pull it through, up and over to make your slip knot. Join them together by moving number 2 over number 3, budging around. Number 4. Pull it through, tie a little slip knot and join them together. Move it around, and here's our last one, number 5. Do a little slip knot, join them together and take off your loom. You don't need to use the loom anymore. Now, you can use an S-clip, a stitch marker, a C-clip, a paper clip, whatever you need to use as a stitch marker. I have these little clover stitch markers, which are quite good. What you're going to do, if you count, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you see those little loops? And the 5th one is on our hook. Push your hook through the first one. Take a single band, and draw it through and reclaim. And then you're going to move this side of the loop up and over, making your slip knot. And again, just like doing our magic ring, you're going to join them together by taking the one first, up and over. And we're going to put our stitch marker on this particular one here, so that we know that that is our first and last spot. Now we're going to go back through that same stitch that we put this one in and do another in there, and these are called single crochets. So we're doing 2 single crochets in each of those 5 little stitches, which will then increase our base to 10. This is number 2, so push your hook through. Let's do our first single crochet, do your little slip knot, join it together, and then go back through that same number 2 stitch to do your second single crochet. Join together, number 3, do a little loop, make your slip knot, join together. It's called a single crochet. And let's do the second one in stitch number 3. Now we're on stitch number 4. Do the same thing. Here's our first single crochet. Now let's do our second single crochet. To do 2 single crochets in the same stitch is called an increase, because you're increasing the stitch amount around the circumference from 5 to 10. So this is our second one in the 5th stitch, and we're back to position number 1. Push your hook through position number 1, stitch number 1. We're going to do a single crochet, join it, move your stitch marker because that's the beginning again, and put it there. So now we have 10 around. That was number 1 that we just went through here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and here's 10. Now what we're going to do is a single crochet only, so that's 1 in each of these 10 stitches. We've already done that one, so let's go through stitch number 2, stitch number 3, stitch number 4, stitch 5, stitch 6, stitch 7, and 8. Here's number 9. This is number 10. So we're back at the beginning. Again, we're going to go through that first stitch, take your stitch marker out, do a single crochet, and put your stitch marker back here as number 1. And we're going to go around again with single crochet. Back to the beginning, I'm going to do a stitch through like that, take that out. Now I'm going to hold on to this, not reclaim it, and I'm going to pull it through the stitch that I have on my hook, and I'm going to tie a slip knot like that. Let's just check that it's the right size for his little head. think that will be fine. Okay, because it's going to be, you're going to use a tie-off band to keep it on his head, so I don't think that that's too much of a problem. I've flipped the hat inside out, and then I just go through some of these loops that you can find on the inside, like this, and drag the tie-off band through so that it's not so obvious from the front. So just drag those through, flip it over the other way. Okay, now you're going to put your hook through the center where your magic ring was, okay, and drag through these two black bands from his head that we tied off with. There we go, got both of them. Try and make sure that his hat, the back of it, is at the back of his head. And you sort of want to stretch it out over his head so that it sits there. Okay, so there's the two tie-off bands. You can move it back as we need to. Now what we're going to do is take some single black bands, wrap them on our hook. 1, 2, and do 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Maybe one more. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to slide those onto these black bands. Oops, let's keep my black bands on the end of my hook. There we go. So slide these on, and these are going to form the little bobble part of his hat, like that. Okay, and then all you do, you're going to push your hook through the inside of his hat. Don't come out the same hole that we've just gone into. Come out one stitch below. Okay, so I'm here. That's where we started. I'm coming out one stitch below. I'm going to drag those two black bands back through like that. I know it sort of, it doesn't look too bobbly, but if you go through the same hole, the hat's just going to come off. All right, and now what you need to do is grab those two black bands, and you want to secure this at the back of his head here somewhere. And I would probably use the same colour that you used for his hair, just so that you can hide it a little bit better if you need to. So take another yellow, and I would probably even grab a couple of yellow bands, then the tie-off bands, and then yellow. All right, and trap that through like this and pull tight, because then it's not as obvious. You've sort of trapped it under the yellow. Push your hook through, grab that yellow tie-off band and pull back, and make sure that you hide it at the back of his head. Okay, and that is how I did his bobble hat. So I really hope you enjoy making him. He is a tiny bit fiddly, but for the most part I think he's quite cute. So yeah, I hope you enjoy. Take care.